Very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all on frequency. This is DATV operating the worldwide net today, and we wish everyone a happy afternoon. I think it's going to be very interesting. We have a number of people on frequency and from all parts of the world, from South America all the way through to India. So it's literally a good evening, or good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I just want to start off by saying a very warm thank you to the Qatar Satellite Company for allowing us the opportunity to be on their wonderful satellite, and in particular to the AMSAT DL and AMSAT UK, and of course the BATC. Those are organizations that have made all this happen and have given many amateurs a fantastic opportunity. There are also many other programmers that one wants to thank, thinking of Everest, Fox 50EO. The man's a genius, and without his inputs, I don't think this would have come near. Also to Michael, DL50CD, and of course to our own Ohan, ZS1SCI. And then we mustn't forget Tom, ZR6 Tango Golf. These are guys that have spent countless hours on software, and I haven't mentioned them all. There are many other software developers like Dave, G8K, what's it now? Oh, Dave, I've forgotten your call sign for a split second. But Dave's done an enormous amount of work. So for those pioneers, we say a very great gratitude of thanks. Today on our list, we have a number of people. Let's just see who's all on. Gee whiz, it's quite a list and a half today. We have G1LWX, Mike, to be followed by Michael, EA7KIR. I've been looking at some of your videos, Michael. Excellent. Hello to Phil, Mike 0, Papa India Tango. And of course to our dear friend Peter, GW7BZY. He's also using DATV Simple. I'll go into that in a minute. And then welcome back, Saro, VU2OBR. I hope you're well. And to Benno, Papa Alpha 3 Fox Bravo X-Ray in the Netherlands. And then Paul, OE8 PCK. Now, Paul has got a special request. He did say that he's having difficulty receiving at the moment, so he's asked if we could up our power a little bit to help him. His receiver's not optimized. That's Paul OE8PCK. I did say, Paul, you can also look on YouTube on the link what we have on WhatsApp, and that should see you right. Hello Ed, Papa Yankee 2 Radio November, and thanks for the new logo update. I shall implement it as from next week. And hello to Nick G4 IMO, nice signal I saw. And of course to Leon, ZS1 Mexico. So we really have a nice group here today. Let me just get, there we go, sorry, apologies. It should go to Mike G1LWX. Mike, if you don't mind taking it, G1 LWX to take it from ZA6 Yankee India. Okay, it doesn't look like Mike's there. We'll give a call in a minute again. But in the meantime, perhaps Michael, EA7KIR, If you wouldn't mind taking it, then we can get the ball rolling. EA7KIR to please take the micro from Zulu Sierra 6, Yankee India. Take the micro.
Okay. Okay, well, I seem to be working. Perhaps we'll pick up Mike later in the running order if he's got a problem. Or maybe he's got the time wrong, as I did the other week. But I see the web page now does actually give the correct time. So, that's caught me off guard, hasn't it? Well, a couple of things I could talk about. First, just an update on what I'm doing with the audio metering things. You know, I've talked about this before. This is a LilyGo, the LilyGo PPM and that's attached to the analog to digital converter. I'll just put that on the other camera so you can see it a little bit better. So there, is that? It doesn't wobble about now, does it? And that kind of works, okay. But there's a few people picking up on that at the moment, including Phil, who's on directly after me, who sent me a nice email the other day thanking me for this. Very much appreciated. And also suggested a way how it could be powered without using the USB, but I haven't tried that myself. I did look into that when I started this project, and I didn't discover the link that he found, but I've since looked at the link that he found. As I say, I haven't tested it yet, but at that time when I was looking into it, there was all kind of speculation going on about whether you could or you couldn't, and the general consensus was it was just not designed to work that way, which is mind-boggling, really. And one or two people were saying they'd tried this and tried that, and a smaller number of people were saying that trashed the card completely. So I just gave in and decided not to use the thing. So I got one of these. It's a tiny little USB 90-degree bender thing, you know, so it goes on the card, and then the cable comes off backwards instead of sideways, which means it takes up less space on a panel. So that was my solution. So what else? What's the future for me? I mean, I'll continue developing the PPM as soon as anybody gives me any feedback on its performance or its ballistics or anything like that. But at the moment, I'm fairly satisfied with it. But you know, PPMs, it's old technology. Broadcast doesn't use them anymore. It's dead, gone, buried, and they've moved on to LU, loudness units. Now this is it's well documented on the EBU site. There's tons of stuff to read, but it's generally, in fact, it's exclusively implemented in hardware or FPGA or whatever you want to call it, but software anyhow. But I don't want I don't want it in the digital domain, because my audio, I don't have access to the audio in digital domain. I have it in analog for me. So I want analog inputs. So what could I use? Well, I could use an ESP32, for example. That's got a couple of analog inputs, but they don't sample fast enough. You could use a Pi, I suppose, but could you actually sample two channels at the same time? Doubtful. Because I want to be able to have two meters, one looking at my transmission, what I'm sending, and another meter looking at what I'm receiving. This will be helpful to me, but it will also, might be, if I want to play policeman, it would be helpful to give people reports about whether I think they're giving out the right level, which would be very arrogant, wouldn't it? But I'd do it anyhow. So I'm proposing an all analog system that people can build using chips. And I've designed a couple of ideas here. I'll just put one on the other camera so you can see it better. Somewhere about there. Where's the middle? There's the middle. Okay, that's the scale that I'm proposing to myself, and I'm very much welcome comments on this. Basically, I built one similar to this 13 years ago. Unfortunately, I don't have it anymore. And I used a center zero meter. So in other words, if no sound was there, the meter would always be in a vertical position pointing at zero. And then when you started speaking, it would either go above zero or below zero. And the object of the exercise is to keep it as close to zero as possible, obviously. And I labelled that meter as a deviation meter, deviating from a standard dialogue level. I'm now calling it a delta LU meter. I'm not quite sure if that's correct, but if you get the idea. And the thing that what's different about this and a ppm is, I'll just go back to me because you've probably seen enough of that. I'm sure you'd like to see me instead. A ppm measures the whole spectrum, audio spectrum. And it measures peak voltage, not peak power. Some people keep calling it a peak power meter. It does not measure power, it measures peak voltage actually. And it has a fairly fast attack time, but not fast enough to catch true peaks, and a moderately slow decay time, about 2 seconds. So what's different? The LU, the loudness unit measurements, for a start, doesn't use the full spectrum of the audio. It has a filter on the input, which basically reduces the bass and gives a 4 dB boost above about 1 kc. And that is to counter the effects of how we perceive loudness. Okay, so that's part one. Some filtering on the audio spectrum, and then it samples the audio at a much slower rate. Well, actually, it depends what mode you actually operate this thing in, but the one I'm aiming for is what they call the short-term one, which is a 3 second, it basically means a 3 second attack time and a 3 second decay time. So it's very slow, okay? So it averages the peaks, if you like. Well, actually not the peaks, it actually averages the RMS value, because it squares it and then averages it and then unsquares it and then logs it. So it measures the average RMS loudness over a 3 second window. That can be simulated in analog. There are ways of doing it. It could also be simulated in using some hardware and maybe an Arduino, which would make it more flexible but more difficult for some people to build, but not that difficult. That might turn out to be the way to do it, actually. To do it completely in hardware would be very challenging to keep the price down, because the chips that I used 13 years ago are now very, very expensive. Well, they were at the time, actually. You know, they're ridiculously expensive, like 50, 60 euros, something like that. And you'd need, ideally, you'd need 4 of them. So it's just out of the question. So I'm investigating cheaper ways to do this, but that will necessarily require some kind of compromise. But hey, you know, we're amateurs, aren't we? You know, so long as, if I can come up with a workable system that is similar to the way the EBU specify it, then I think that will be good enough. And secondly, the bulk of the stuff we transmit is mono. It might be 2-channel mono. Like now, I'm transmitting in stereo, but my voice is in the middle, so it's 2 channels of mono. We don't tend to transmit too much stereo, and we certainly don't transmit 5.1, although I think someone was experimenting with that the other day, actually. I don't know. I tried to decode it, but I couldn't. So they're doing something very, very clever, and I don't think they were transmitting video at the same time. I think they were just transmitting 192 kilohertz, I heard that mentioned, of audio with 5.1 channels in it, and they were saying the quality was stunning. I don't think that's what the majority of people are going to do. So I'm looking for a compromise that, you know, we could use a meter like this. This might change, which is easy to build, cheap to build, and easy to understand, so that we can, if it catches on, you know. But the PPM's catching on a little bit. There's a few people doing it now. Anyhow, that's it. That's a kind of an update on what I'm playing with. The other thing, I want to reach out for some advice, help, or whatever, because my knowledge of DATV is somewhat limited. And I get the impression that that probably doesn't just apply to me. For example, last Thursday on the BATC net, I transmitted a video I'd made, and it was shot from a moving train. So the pictures were continuously moving, continuously, for 7 minutes, right? And the only way I could, the first only way I could transmit this with reasonable quality, and it was pretty good, was using 8 PSK, 8 QPSK, which is kind of unacceptable on the channel 27, which is what we use for the nets. So I then went back to using 333, that was at 500 kilobits per second, of course. And then I went back then to 333 kilobits per second and reduced the video bit rate to 210 bits per second. So that actually played the video without breaking up. Not on my receiver anyhow, but I think 1 or 2 people did have a little bit of glitch here and there. But it was acceptable, but the quality was terrible. You know, I mean, it was nowhere near what wasn't even standard TV standard. It certainly wasn't HD. So the reason I suspect that not everybody understands the technicality of digital TV is that questions were asked on the forum: will my RIDE receiver decode 8 QPSK? Oh, really? People haven't tried this before. That surprised me. In fact, even the author of RIDE said, when asked the question, he replied with, I think so, or it should do. I think those were his words, it should do. I mean, I find this incredible. Obviously, nobody's ever tried it. Well, it did work. It did work, and why shouldn't it? It's got actually nothing to do with RIDE. It's all done in Longmead. So if Longmead can do it, so can RIDE. So there are other things, though, that I would have liked to have tweaked. And if you look on the Pluto setup page, you know, where you can adjust all kinds of parameters, I haven't a clue what these actually are. And I'd like to find a place where I can read about this. Because maybe adjusting some of these, there's about 10 different things you can adjust on that page. And I've played around with them, but, you know, you stab it in the dark, and it may well be that you adjust one and it affects another. You know, so there's an infinite number of combinations of settings you could put these things to. So you just something in the dark, aren't you? So if anyone can direct me to somewhere where I can learn, which is what this hobby is supposed to be about, learn what all these sliders and things do, then I could experiment with them in in a structured way. So I'd be grateful for that. Anyhow, that's enough for me right now. Thank you very much. So I'll hand it over to Phil, M0PIT, from Michael EA7KIR. Over to you, Phil.
Old man Mike asked if he could be called in. I don't know if he can stay long. Mike? So, sorry for breaking in, Phil. G1LWX, would you like to come aboard? And then you pass it to Phil. This is ZA6 Yankee India. To Phil.
Hi, sorry about that. I was involved on 70 centimetres with a discussion with a local guy, and I missed the time slot, so apologies. Very good afternoon to everyone. Yeah, all interesting, Michael. A little bit above my head, some of it, but it sounds very interesting. So I'll be keeping my eye on how things progress with that. Sorry, folks, I've not been on for quite a while. One of the main problems was that when you move the net to a later time, Sunday is very difficult for me. Sunday afternoon. My schedule is very tight on a Sunday afternoon. This will be my last over for picking the wife up, etc. And for the last 3 months I've been out of the country. I've been in Spain for the last 3 months on the Costa Blanca. So that's why I've been missing. So I've been back in the shack over the last few days. We got back last Saturday. Late last Saturday, so I've been getting things sorted out here. It's surprising what doesn't work after you've been away for so long, but we're slowly getting back to normal. So not much to show, not much to say, just that I'm glad to get back, and I'm just sorting stuff out, and I've come across this. You all know what it is. It's a Serit Nim. It doesn't work. I forgot I had it actually. I mean, I must have built about 12 mini tuners and about 7 Winter Hills, and they've all been working fine. This was my own. It worked for about 12 months, and then it stopped working. So I replaced it, and I'm just wondering whether it could be repaired. Possibly getting the chips may be a problem, but I'll have to check it over, and it will be interesting. Problem is, of course, if you solder the damn thing in and it doesn't work, it's just a waste, isn't it? So that's a project for coming up to Christmas, I think. Right, so that's all I'm saying. Nice to be back, and look forward to watching the net for what time are we on? Nearly 1:30, so probably another 20 minutes and then I'll have to shoot off. So it's Phil to take it, I think, now. So over to you, Phil. M0PIT from G1LWX.
Good afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are. Let's turn the audio down because that's gone. Yeah, let's come back. Right, picture. Quite envious actually. It's yeah, a very good video. Yeah, showing you how you achieve that. I don't think mine's as good, but perhaps I'll leave that to everybody else to make a judgment. Michael, PPMs. Yeah, like you, I've got a passion for PPMs and analog audio. All my audio here is analog. It goes into a USB converter into the computer, so everything here is all analog. And as you know, I've built your PPM and found those 2 lines of code, which has enabled me to power it off of the external supply connection. And I did a picture of it this morning because you did ask me about the voltage levels. So there it is. No audio going into it, but the voltage you can see was set at 4.71, so it's under 5 volts, and it worked fine. It booted up with no problem at all, because I understand the problem is that is booting up from an external supply, in as much as you have to hold one of the buttons down for it to boot. But with these 2 lines of code, which I think is just basically holding one of the pins high, and it will boot fine. So so that's what I do or have done, and at some point it will be going on to my audio kit, which all sits there, and I've got a spare, what's that, 3U, I think that's 3U panel. So the idea is that I'm going to put it on there. But Michael, your idea about a Delta LU meter, yeah, that sounds okay. I can understand why you would want to use it, and it makes some sense. But I don't know, I think I should still go with PPM meters, standard PPM. I might try an LU. But yeah, I'll wait with anticipation for that one. And you mentioned about having a filter at the front end from it's a high pass filter, isn't it? Above 100k effectively. One of the very first jobs I ever had was working for an acoustics company. It was a long time ago. But I think the filter that you were talking about is a DBA filter, because DBA will block or reduce all low frequencies. And I've never really understood why you would want to do that when you do measuring. But anyhow, yeah, from memory it's DBA. But yeah, good work, Michael. Carry on. I'm one of your followers. So I'm looking forward to what you come up with. What else have I been doing during the week? Well, I did show you, was it last week, I think, this Plessey receiver, which I had replaced a load of tantalum capacitors. One of the problems I found with it, apart from the tantalum capacitors, was that the battery, the backup for memory, had failed. And that's in one of the modules, and you can see there's a hole there by that flexible, I think they call it flexible printed circuit board, but that flexible membrane there with a big connector on it. And that goes into module 12, I think it is. And that's what it looks like inside. And there was a NiCad battery that not only had it died, it basically, as they do, leak luckily enough, it hasn't done much damage to the board. It's, I think I've managed to clear it. But of course, you can't get NiCads very easily these days, and I managed to get my hands on a small lithium. I know you're not supposed to trickle charge them. I'm not really too bothered about it. It will be trickle charged from, I think it's about a 9-volt. It's either 9 or 12, depending on what state the transceiver's in, or the receiver is in. And it goes for about a 10k resistor. So there's hardly any trickle going into the lithium. And the actual output of the battery goes via a silicon diode, just to one chip, and that one chip will, its voltage range is about 4 to about 10 volts. So I'm not too worried about it. If anything did happen, it would just blow that single chip up, and those chips are still available. Don't want that to happen, but anyhow. So that's what I've been doing. I haven't really been doing much else. I've been playing around with DATV Not So Easy. I've been playing around with that. Of course, it's all on Linux, it's not Windows. But I've been playing around with that. And that's really been my week. I don't really have much else to really talk about. So I think I'll just make this my last over, if you want. And it's a great net. Thanks, Gary, for hosting it, as always. I thoroughly enjoy it. And I think I need to pass it over to, let's have a look on the list. So it's Peter, GW7BZY. Oh, before I go, Peter's always talking about lip sync and all these problems that everybody's have. And I do recommend that you all get one of these. Very cheap on eBay. I think it was about £4 something. But it does the trick. Absolutely brilliant. Rather than doing that. But there we go. I'll hand it over to Peter. So this is M0PIT. Handing it over to Peter, GW7BZY. So I'll put up a test card.
Okay, GW7. Okay, GW7 BZY. Turn the sound down. All red, all good. Yeah, I like the clapper board. I've got one somewhere, I've lost it. In the big move. I'm looking now. I'm basically looking quite often, but I don't find anything. Yeah. Excellent all round. Mike, interesting as always. I'll go Mike first because he's always got, for me, the most interesting stuff to say. I've got to say no for ppm meter, but yes for LUFS. LUFS, I think it's LUFS, isn't it? Although I have a quick glance on the interweb, and they may well be, I know you'll be horrified by this, but a VTS plugin. And I'll have a look, see if I can find something. It might, if I do find one, I did download a bit of software, but I think you had to put scan a video to it. I haven't quite worked it out yet, but I might find a VTS plugin that will actually work in vMix. So then I'll have a LUF meter, which will be cool indeed, and probably not what you have in mind. So my audio chain goes from this microphone into the back of the camera, and then it comes out as either SDI, HD SDI or HDMI, and then HDMI. The computer I have doesn't have a slot spare, although I do have an older computer which actually has a card that can accept HDMI, HD SDI, as it matters. That's about it on the ppm. Nice pictures from And good, yeah, hello Mike, the other Mike, G1 LWX. I've not seen you before, so I'll say hello to you. A good picture, excellent picture to be fair, I liked it, looked really good. Nice and sharp and etc. No complaints. That's about it. Running the DATV Simple here, which has been fairly simple, if not problematic. Although yesterday I got it working fine. I was chatting to Gary and Leon, etc. and Gary, so Martin, and I tried changing something and it broke it, and it was just broken. It wouldn't work. And if it strangely, if I say like it was set to 1 mega symbol, which is obviously not what I wanted. I set it to 33 symbols. Like a ghost would turn it back again for me, and if I turned the power up, a little hand would appear, invisible, would turn it down again. So it had a little mind of its own, so that was a bit strange. This morning I downloaded a newer version and wiped the old one and reinstalled this, and all's well now. All's well for the moment. I won't say all's well further. Well, not even for a week, till tomorrow. Anyway, with that I'm going to hand it on. Who is next? So that's what I've been doing. I've been fighting with my Pluto and software. I have unscrewed my Pluto case and discovered that it's actually version D, although it says C on the box, on the Pluto label. So we need confidence in working with the new software, which has worked fine now. That's about humbling up now. So who's next? Thanks to Owen for helping me out with the software. It's VO2 OBR, I think I've written there. Yeah, over to you, sir. From GW7BZY. I haven't got a test card.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my friends. Yeah, very much happy to see all of you again on the net. I'm sorry, I was busy as some other HF projects, so that's why I'm unable to join with you guys. I'll try to join now our upcoming weeks. So today also there is the hope you are hearing me, I think. Correct, okay. Yeah, today also there is the cricket fever in India. There is the very much sound pollution surrounding me. So I am unable to continue my transmission on the second round. So this I am going to close with this round only. So first of all, I thank Gary to continually running the net, and thank you Mike, Michael and Bill, Peter, Bino, Paul, Ed, Nick, Leon. So unfortunately I am unable to continue with you guys because the sound pollution. So next week I will join you with new videos, some clippings. So till that time, my best of 73s to all of you. Greetings from India, 73s. Bye bye.
Yeah. Hi, Saro. Sorry to hear the pollution is causing those kind of problems. I have heard already, even in the news. Oops. What was that? Okay. I already heard in the news that the pollution was very bad in India these days due to all kind of weather, but also festivities causing direct problems. Hi. Well, I hope they will get it in their hands again. Keep the pollution down. And I understand your transmission is also interfered with that. Well, actually, I was playing with streaming over the last few weeks, and did some streaming, made a new streaming entrance. I basically followed the net on Tuesday evening on the BATC, which is totally on streaming, and I wondered if we would want to do something like that with the repeater, which is obviously totally non-ham, but in the end it's communication either way, and that's what's all about in the net, I believe. So maybe people want to join via streaming because they are on holiday, they are somewhere on the beach, or somewhere on a hotel, or even in polluted ways, just on the border of the satellite, maybe over the border of the satellite, but still want to follow it. Maybe it's a good opportunity, and I pass this one back to the net control, maybe to comment on it, maybe to make a streaming entrance on this net. Happy to do so. You need one or two stations capable in receiving the stream, and then putting it on the frequency. That's not too difficult nowadays. And the only thing is, I can even do it from my phone. I make a nice communication. I already did with the local repeater, and it's a nice addition to the net. Maybe, Gary, that's an idea to think about. So people on the over the edge of this satellite transmission input, they can also join the net and make it a real worldwide net on DATV. And it may be transmitted on certain places, on certain bands, on certain repeaters, on certain whatever, and it's all partly through the through internet and partly on the air, which is basically the main part. But well, again, maybe to think about it. Then people who has problems with transmitting can quickly put the streaming input. Okay, well, I see a nice discussion on the chat. I haven't followed it because I was following the net, and I can't do both. But Saro, thanks for being back on the air, and we missed you. We missed your face, and yeah, we are all doing a lot of things, but we should keep in touch. Hi. Peter, nice job. Looks perfect. And DATV not so easy, or DATV a little easy. I'm not sure where we are heading, but I haven't played at it at all, and that's just due to the fact that well, I had other things to do, and I like to have it easy. But I again, like Michael already said, the knowledge goes with that easy part. I believe understanding what you're doing is part of our hobby, yes, and if you use a different way, like not so easy, or you have much more controls where you can play with to optimize your own transmission. Otherwise, I find it a lot of problem of being on the air and tweaking all the time. And what is good for one is bad for another, like H266. VLC is still not capable in decoding, I believe. So I can transmit in H266, but I imagine a lot of people can't receive me anymore. And in the end, that is what I want, that people can receive me. Okay, well, a nice thought about it. Then we are passing it on to Austria. Paul, I hope you have received me. And yes, you can use the YouTube channel. You can also use my Twitch. At the moment, it's on this channel. So twitch./PA3FBX is 24/7 on the satellite view for still. And there are local talks which make this an official page from a support, how do you say that? One of the official stations supporting the ham TV, ham radio is here in the neighborhood with a big dish, and they offered, well, there are talks and talks about doing also the TV part on streaming 24/7, which is what I did over the last 2 years, but I'm more than happy to hand over my tools and my knowledge to them, as I'm sure it is better continued than from my own place, and it will save me some electricity in the end. Hi. Okay, Paul, microphone back to you. Oscar Echo 8, Papa Charlie Kilo. All the frequency for you from Papa Alpha 3 Foxtrot Bravo X-ray. I have a test card. Yes, I have.
audio. I don't have audio as well. Morning, everyone. For Oscar Echo 8, Papa Charlie Kilo, Paul, we were not able to hear you. Maybe you forgot to enable the microphone on your OBS or any other software that you may be using. So I'm gonna pass to you again. So maybe you can fix the microphone. Maybe it's a quick fix, so you make your transmission again. So we may be able to hear you this time, because the last transmission we were able to listen to the music of your test card, but not your voice. So go ahead again. Then you pass to me again. Oscar Echo 8 Papa Charlie Kilo, please try again. This is Papa Yankee 2 Romeo November.
So, so it seems to be working. Yeah, I'm sorry. Anyway, basically all I said was, Benno, thank you, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I'm going to go off there and just be listening. I've got to get things sorted out. Sorry about this.
Okay, let's enable the audio. Alright, it's Sunday again. Hello everybody. Remove the battery charger here. Yes, Paul, we were able to hear you this time. Your audio was not very, I would say not very clear, but we were able to listen to you. So hopefully you can fix everything there. And but in general, good transmission, no problem. Hello everybody. Hi Greg, Gary, Mike, Michael, Phil, Peter, Saro, Benno, Paul, Nick, and Leon. Nice to see you guys. Just a few comments. I think it was EA7QIR. Michael mentioned some issue transmitting images with movement and had a problem. Well, my suggestion, instead of bring one more concern to you with the bit rate of video, audio, stuff like that, would suggest to use just DATV Easy or DATV Not So Easy, because those will do the calculation for you, and you can transmit most of the videos without any problems, instead of calculating the bit rate yourself. A nice work on the ppm meter, very nice. Feel great image, Peter, as well. Nice to see you again, Sarah. So I understand that you're anxious to see the cricket festival there, so you're free to go. And please come back next weekend, along with our other friends from India as well. So missing Balu, Joe, and all people there. Krish. So long time those guys don't join the DATV Net or DATV in general, because I'm not seeing their transmission anymore. Beno, okay, but the streaming stuff, yeah, that's something must be discussed, I believe. Not sure if it's allowed, but yeah, I would be favorable, but not sure if it's allowed. Paul, welcome to the net. Not sure if it was her first time, but no problem. So we always face some issues, and it's good to fix it. So it's long net, 11 participants, very good. I'm just gonna be quick to show what I was working on these days. With the Pluto transverter from the X-Patrol, actually I tested the reception, and surprisingly it works very well. I do have a filter already, but it's the filter that it's a low pass filter that stands after my HPA, my 1 kilowatt PA. So it some way gives some filtering, but I like it, the reception. I have several others SDRs here, and I would say it's very similar, the reception quality. Now I'm working with the preamplifier, just to check which one better fits my. So those are some Chinese options that I'm trying to work on. And this is QRP Labs. So I still working, and I also I'm gonna put another bandpass filter after this preamplifier, which I bought on eBay according to the Hotel Alpha 8 Lima Fox Kilo, who makes those boards. It's 10 watts capable, but I think it's exaggerated 10 watts. But you know, those little amplifiers here, they put max 2 watts, and I think will be suitable for this bandpass filter. It covers from 160 to 6 meters, which is good. And you just put 5 volts to select which is the frequency range that you want to use. So it's quite nice, not so expensive, about $60, and that's what I'm using. The transverter, it has a Vox AutoSense, so as soon as it senses the transmission from Pluto, it will switch the LED from green to red, and it starts transmission. I tried, and it will put PTT command a PTT command through this P3 jack. So actually what it does is, as soon as it senses the transmission from Pluto, it will make a short to ground here. According to the X-Patrol, it also can work as reverse. So if you put the plug here and make a, sorry for the dog QRM, you can make a short on the cable and it will turn the PTT on. But this function, it seems not working for me. So I need to clarify with the X-Patrol, because I don't trust much on the Vox, so I prefer external PTT control. Basically that's it, what I'm working. Other than that, very hot here lately. Temperatures reaching up to 45 degrees, and the feels like yesterday in Rio was 60 degrees. So it's a very hard, hot wave that we are facing here in Brazil nowadays. Okay, guys, so back to the list. Who's gonna be next to me? It's gonna be Nick. Go for India Mike Oscar. So back to you, Nick, from Papa Yankee 2 Radio November.
Okay, Ed, thank you. Okay, Ed, thank you. Just check that. Right, I hope my audio's okay this time, because when I did a test just now, sounds all right. When I did a test earlier, it sounded a bit distorted. So, anyway, good afternoon to everybody. Nice to see you. See everyone, and Sarrow I've seen on there for a long time no see, and there's a few new stations on here as well. I haven't seen before. Right, yes, I haven't been up to very much here. I didn't come on last Sunday because there was a funeral. My uncle passed away, so it was his funeral last Sunday. So very sad. But he was 91, so that's a fairly long life, I suppose. Anyway, very sad. Right, what have I been doing here? Oh, Windows 11. If anybody's on Windows 10, stay on Windows 10. Never go to Windows 11. I hate it. I absolutely hate this Windows 11. Because I've only got one computer screen here, and I've got I've got 4 windows open. And on Windows 10, you could position the windows where you want them, and you could alter the sizes. But when you go to Windows 11, when you try to alter the size of the window, it decides where it wants to put the windows, and it decides what size it's got to be, and then when you try and alter it, all the windows move around on the screen. It's a complete nightmare. So I should have stayed on Windows 10. And another Windows update I've just realised has mucked up my my mini tuner, because it only works in graph mode. Now it no longer works on VLC. I think I had this last time. I had to reinstall VLC, I think, and that cured it. But so I don't know. These Windows updates, bit of a shame. What have I been up to? Well, it's our autumn here, coming up to our winter, and next door neighbour's tree is dropping leaves the size of my hand all over my property. So I've been out there sweeping up leaves. great fun, but it's at least it's giving me a bit of exercise to do. It's not particularly warm here, as you can see. I've got my jacket on. It's what is it? It's 12 degrees centigrade, which is quite mild for this time of year, I suppose, but far too cold for me. Anyway, what else have I been doing? I've been messing around with my audio, trying to get my lip sync correct. I used DATV Easy here, and I've got the setting for the audio as 200 at the moment to try and get my lip sync right. But I noticed when you alter the settings on DATV Easy, what I was doing, I would click on stop on the program, and then alter the setting, and then click start again, and then see what the lip sync was, and messed around like that, and then found a setting that was spot on, and then next time you switched on, it wasn't right again. So I discovered that if you alter the setting for the lip sync on DATV Easy, just stopping and starting it, as I say, next time you switch on, it's not right. So what I do is I alter the setting, then I completely close down the DATV Easy, and then restart it again, and that seems to be working. So I haven't found a setting. It seems to be remaining in sync anyway, so that's quite good. The only other thing I was going to mention, that there was I got a couple of short videos which I made when I was out in the Philippines on a mobile phone. They're only about 1 minute or just a few minutes long, but I was going to show them when Martin, G-A-K-O-E, is on here, because he will find them interesting, and he's not on the net, so I will leave that till another time. The other thing I wanted to comment on, Michael in sunny Spain there, you mentioned about 8 PSK. Very interesting. I'll tell you a little story. A few weeks ago, I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks ago, there was a station, I can't remember where he was, but he came up on this channel, and he was doing 333 kilosymbols, 8 PSK. And there was a station in Germany on the chat who said, no, you aren't. You're not allowed. You're not allowed to do 8 PSK on this channel or on 333 kilosymbols. So I thought, well, that's a bit strange. So I went on to the German AMSAT website, and when you look on there, the wording for, well, as far as 8 PSK is concerned, the wording says less than 333 kilosymbols. So you can use 8 PSK on 66 or 125, but not on 333 for some reason. I've no idea why. However, having said that, if you go on to the wiki pages of the BATC, there's a page on there that talks about power density, and the wording on there, as you can do 8 PSK, 16 or 32, but as far as 8 PSK is concerned, the wording on there, it says 333 kilosymbols or less. So I don't know. There's a bit of conflicting information. So maybe I would suggest that is the reason why people aren't experimenting, because you know, if you're trying to send high quality videos and you're using say 8 PSK to try and improve the picture quality, if you're not allowed to use it on 333, it's all I don't understand why you would restrict, why you would have that restriction. But the whole idea of the hobby surely is to experiment. So, but anyway, so that's my understanding, that you're not, well, I don't know. Can you use it on 333? I don't know. But certainly on the AMSAT website, it says you can't. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm sure somebody on here will have the answer. Right, I think that's about it for me. So I'm going to pass it round to Leon. Very good afternoon to you, Leon. ZS1, Mike, G4IMO.
Been suffering with load shedding, guys. Okay, I'll take it, and then we'll see if Leon comes in afterwards. All good. Nice net so far today. And Mike, yeah, he's just left. So cheers to you, Mike. We'll always try and put you on top. We know your time's limited. We understand. Hello to you, Michael, EA7KIR. Very interesting as usual and in great depth. I like the way you explain things. I was just wondering of that meter where you have a center 0. You say that's where you want to be. Okay. Now an easy way is to turn the microphone gain to 0. Then you will be dead on 0. But you won't have any audio. I just thought I'll pull your leg on that one. And yes, there are many interesting little dials and knobs, and unless you have a good understanding of digital television, you are stabbing in the dark, and we've all been through and still going through that exercise. Now, having said that, I've always been using Everest's F5OEO, his hardware on the Pluto, and then and also his Pluto controller. It's been working very well. So the other day, I've been noticing people are using what they call, firstly, DATV Easy. Then there was DATV Not So Easy. And Michael, DD0 OCD, DD5, I think, is it? D5 OCD. He started to take Everett's software and then put it into a form of a page that one could use a bit easier without having to have all the technical background. Anyway, then our Uwan, ZS1 SCI, decided to work on that, and he made it even easier because many people dropped out on that, and he made it, he called it DATV Simple. So last Sunday, he showed me some of the tweaks he's done and some of the nice gimmicks that you've got with it. And I said, right, let's do it. And then I crashed it just before the net. So it wasn't that I had a computer crash, it was my own stupidity. However, there was lessons learned. So I got hold of Uwan. I said, right, Uwan, you want to make it DATV simple. then it better live up to its name. So let's do the following. Now, he's the programmer. I can just say what I'd like as a operator to get things going. And he did. Grease lightning quick. He reminded me of Tom. You know, Tom's watching ZR6TG. Yeah, he's Tom's a genius when it comes to these node reds and what have you. Anyway, Uwan's done a phenomenal job on this. And what's nice is we're using what Everest has now put in, which is very, very useful. It's LibRx, LIBX, LibX 265. The quality is definitely better. We've tested it. I've got a very nice card, a NVIDIA card, and we've tested it side by side. And I've got Leon, ZS1 Mike's very accurate eye and ear, listening and watching, and so he could criticize it, and I can take his criticism or his advice to heart, because it's done very accurately, I may say. He had worked for the SABC for many years, so in television, by the way, so he knows what he's doing. Anyway, so one of the acid tests were to do the following. I'm going to show you a very quick clip of a video on 333, Michael. You might like this, and you'll see I think the quality is not too bad. So here goes. I'm not going to bore everyone with the long video, but I just thought I'd show you that a very difficult piece to show is with moving water or waves or something. And on 333, I was quite impressed with that. So it's definitely an improvement. And then the question of 8 PSK. Yeah, we can all do 8 PSK, and you can, of course, receive it, no problem. I have played with 8 PSK on 333. And there is an anomaly in the recommendations. I know Amsadil, I think, had that in mind, not to use 8 PSK on anything wider than 125. But then power density, I think, is the key word. We don't want to stress out the satellite. And so if you look at a guy running 1 megasymbol compared to what we're doing now, he's got a lot more power density than 5 of us will have next to each other. So I can't see the reason why 8 PSK cannot be used. You do definitely get better quality, there's no doubt. But it also takes a little bit longer to lock. And of course it takes longer for the pipe to get filled, you see, because you've got a lot of water you want to push through a narrow pipe. So there's always a compromise, one way or the other. So I think the work that Everest is doing on the firmware, talking direct to the Pluto's processor, is the right way, cutting out many other things, although it does use CPU power. If you don't have a good CPU, you're going to not come right. But yeah, Leon and I were testing yesterday on 1 megasymbol as well, and we found that it's more stable if I use the NVIDIA card, because it's made for graphics like this. I have 4 Intel i9 units, processors, and a lot of DDR-RAM, and I couldn't get this thing working properly. And then Uwan discovered that the RAM wasn't really switched on properly. So we did that, and bang, it was a day and night difference. And of course I can monitor the temperature, which is, let's see, running at the moment, it's 50 degrees, 51, there we go, 50 degrees Celsius, so it's cool, it's not bad. I am going to put a water thing onto my 4 processors to keep it cooler, then I'm sure I can clock nicely. I'm not overclocking or anything, I don't believe in doing that. So yeah, nice experimenting. The new dashboards right now, I'm using a version 4.4 extra deluxe, as we want to call it. And the reason is simple. There are certain things that Uwan did for me, which I don't think other guys would want. So that's why we called it extra deluxe. But it is now version 5, and he's changed the dashboard a bit. I think it's better. Right. Then coming back to the streaming again, the advice was that we shouldn't be doing remote operation on DATV. And on the satellite, as a matter of fact, Benno. So I've been wanting to do this. In fact, I did do it, you might remember some time back, we did it using WhatsApp. The guy came in on WhatsApp and I streamed him onto DATV one Sunday because he was in Portugal and so he couldn't be at home. Anyway, it's a bit frowned upon. But I'm sure I can always talk to the guys at AMSAT DL. I know them all very well. I know their directors and say, look, on a Sunday, we'd like a portal that we could call in a couple of guys from wherever. I know there's a few friends I have in the United States that would be very interested to come and say hi. In fact, one guy did. I did put his audio on, but I didn't do his TV, really, his video. So there would be interest, there's no doubt. I'm easy if the guys like it, and if we get the go-ahead, I think we must do it in an orderly-like fashion. Then we have a time slot where guys can quickly call in, and then we take it from there. So it's good technology. All communication is good technology, and we are experimenters, as Michael said. We are hams. You know what a ham stands for, eh? Hopeless amateur mechanic. Leon, have you been able to get your power back on or whatever? You missed a beat. So if you can take it and then pass it to Michael Echo Alpha 7 Kilo India Romeo ZS1 Mexico to please take it from ZS6 Yankee India.
Okay, thanks Gary. Yes, it was not an equipment failure. It was these 10 doiges, as the French call them. I have a multi-plug here at my feet, and I use the receiving computer, when I do printing. And earlier today I did printing, and the printer power was plugged in the same thing. But on the same hub I have these wall warts for all the different other things, and one of them fell out, which is my little preamp for the transmitter. And I couldn't understand everything. The fans are running outside. My remote failed the other day for switching on the PA outside, but I replaced the battery. It is fine again. So it's not that, and I was really getting upset. Then I said, oh, but the little green LED on the preamp is not on. And I saw, yeah, the wall wart fell out of the socket. Right, okay. A lot of comments. Let's take it from the top. Michael. Okay, Mike. Mike has the DAT-NIM. Mike's probably not even listening anymore. But if you're listening, Mike, check if you still get DC out. No, somebody's on. Somebody was on top of me now. Let me just see, is my audio okay? Let me just see, is my audio okay? Yeah, picture's okay. Well, I don't know why somebody keyed on top of me. Anyway, where was I? Oh, the DATNM, yeah. Just make sure that you have DC output on that thing. Yeah, otherwise I also, my first mini tuner that I built, the NIM was dud. And I opened it up, desoldered it from the board, opened it up, and under the microscope I could see they didn't clean it properly when they manufactured the NIM. And in the flux embedded was tiny little solder balls, which was shorting two of the data lines from one chip to some other place or whatever. Cleaned it up, and that's what I'm using to receive now. Okay, right, that's Mike. Michael, yes, I'm all with you with having PPMs or some device, I don't care what it is. Loudness units, it's more comes into play when you're using compression and stuff, and I don't like compression because we're not commercial stations, and we're definitely not running commercials, which is heavily compressed and sounds terrible. So as long as we're using linear audio, and I agree with you, my audio stuff is all in analog, having a nice meter, and as you say, input one and an output one from the receiver is handy. You can give people feedback, and you know what you're putting up there. I just wouldn't go so complex as with fancy ICs and stuff. You really don't need it. I like your display, the card that you made for the meter. Beautiful. It says it all. I prefer 0 on the side and not a center 0. Like you have it there, then you know you're 18 dBs low, which is like bugger all. In the middle, nice, and yeah, as you go. So yes. But I would go for a simple, cheap way. Use analog meters and the right little driving circuit. And if it's not perfectly the correct curve or the time constant, as long as it's quick on the take-up, it'll bring us close enough. Because some people are like really over, like GKQ used to be, and other people are way down. So you'll see the difference on a very basic meter, I'm pretty sure. Okay. So that is Michael's thing. Phil, okay, Phil, the NiCad versus lithium. Yeah, I had to do the same on several of my instruments, and not on my Plessy receiver. That one's too old, doesn't it? That's before memories. My Plessy receiver is all analog, but on my Raycall receiver, which is similar to what you have there now in Plessy. That the same happened. Some of them right off the board, the leakage from the NiCad. What I found, lithiums, you can float them, but you have to have voltage regulation on them. Now, it was probably a 2-cell or a 3-cell NiCad, 3-cell, which gives you 3.6 volts. So a single lithium polymer, or preferably lithium ion, will give you about 3-point-something volts, just a single cell, which is ideal. And I fitted that to a lot of my equipment because there they have 5 volts. They charge it off the 5-volt rail through a limiting resistor, just for current limiting. Because the lithium ions that I use have built-in cell management units. They want 5 volts on there. They regulate it internally down to 4.2 volts because that's the maximum charge voltage for a lithium ion. So just one lithium ion, you can leave it on there for yonks, nothing will happen to it. I got from America years ago hundreds of little flat pack lithium ion cells with a little fly lead and a teeny weeny little plug, and I fit that in everything, even in my handheld radios. They are 680 milliamp hours, if I remember correctly, and they just last forever. So, but you cannot put 9 volts on it. It will in the end go over voltage and either destruct the battery or the chip after the battery. So just make sure that you put a little 78L05 regulator in series there to limit it at 5 volts. Right, that was for full. On the clapboard, yeah, nice. Yeah, we should get okay, then somebody last week, I don't know whether it was you, Phil, or somebody else, said about the size of the SMD caps, or of the ceramic caps. He showed us one there. It was either a 1 or a 10 microfarad. Well, I'm working with the stuff at the moment, and here now, to get this baby to focus, let me just get some backdrop here. I stuck this onto a match head. Can I get closer? Yeah. That little doodah is a 1 microfarad ceramic. I have even smaller ones that are also 1 microfarad, but then they're only 5 volts. This is, I think, a 25 volt ceramic SMD cap. I also have 10 microfarad ones, which are the same length, a little bit fatter than the 10 microfarads. So yeah, it is amazing what they do nowadays with these ceramic things. So whether it was for you, Phil, or I don't know who mentioned that. Okay, Peter, your video today is better than yesterday before you had the crash. Yesterday, you had in your hair, in the analog video, we used to call it aperture correction. You overemphasize the high frequency bits, thin things. But if you have too much aperture correction, you had what you had yesterday in your video. It's gone today. Your video is very nice. But you're still off mic. The microphone it's like it's way too far from you, or you're addressing it from the wrong side. It's not like you used to be. Okay, Saru. Okay, Saru is probably listening to the cricket, but yeah, Saru had hum on his audio, but otherwise everything was okay. Benno, yeah, the internet link. I do have mixed feelings about that. The same as, because they do it on HF and on VHF. What do they call it? They've got a name for it. I don't like it. When I'm on ham radio, I'm on ham radio. I do not want to be connected to the internet. Then you can just as well go on Skype. But in this specific instance, where it is not possible for all continents to be on the satellite, in a very controlled fashion, I think it can be useful. It could be nice. I think what they're scared of is that the general public can get onto the thing, which is obviously a no-no. So the guy sitting at the portal must be ready with his cut button. If there's a non-licensed amateur coming up, then you must be able to cut him off. I'm sure if you can guarantee that sort of safety, then you have a chance of doing it legally. I don't know. I think it could be a nice usable feature. Okay, what was the? Yeah, Paul. Benno, yeah, internet. Paul. Yeah, Paul had all sorts of problems. Bad audio. Yeah, audio sounds like he's got sand in the speaker when he finally got the mic going. Also his video bitrate was very low, very low bitrate. I don't know what equipment he's using, but it needs a bit of a look at. Ed, you're busy with the DX Patrol. You did the tests and so on. What I find more interesting, when you pulled the charger out of your headset, the hum went away, but that hum sounded like 60 hertz, not 50 hertz. Do they have 60 hertz in Brazil like in the USA? It's an unfamiliar hum to my ears. I'm used to 50 cycle or 100 cycle hum if it's full wave rectified. That yours sounded like half wave rectified, but not 50 cycles. It sounded like 60 cycles. You can just perhaps say. Nick, Windows 11. Oh dear, yeah. I have some computers running on Windows 11, but I never upgrade. That's why some of my computers are not allowed to be connected to the internet. I'm very, very cautious about that. And the leaves and the 8PSK, yeah, well, Gary, I think answered most of the 8PSK scenario. We've all done tests there. Just make sure. Somebody mentioned that it's not allowed on this channel. That I can agree. This channel is for narrowband stuff. 8PSK, although it occupies the same bandwidth, the power density is higher, and maybe if you go up to the left hand side closer to the beacon, they won't complain. I don't know. I never go and look at the rules. So that's it from me. Now I am supposed to give it to Gary, so I think I'll give it to Gary. If he doesn't want it, he can pass it on. ZS6 Yankee India for the group from ZS1 Mike in Worcester, which is a nice moderate day today, not so hot as earlier in the week.
Immediately pass it to the next guy. And that would have been, that's Michael, Echo Alpha 7 Kilo India Romeo, to take it please from ZS6 Yankee India.
Yes, I just turn my speaker down. Yeah, we got a little bit out of order there, didn't we? I made a few notes, not too many. Gary, the video you showed, not impressed. Sorry. The quality was okay, but it was skipping frames all the way through. You know, like that. And in any case, the video I was trying to show last week, the pictures were moving much faster than that. I mean, that video was almost still, you know, almost photographs really, not much movement at all. The difficulty is transmitting stuff that's actually moving, you know, and it's obviously impossible to do that with such narrow bandwidths. It's a question of how you can tweak it to get the best possible outcome, and to stay within the 333 bandwidth, because I am told, but I'm not entirely sure about this, if I had have used 500 kilohertz bandwidth on this top channel, on channel 27, it would have bled into the guard band next door. I'm not sure about that. Maybe someone could verify that, but that's why I decided to play safe and go down to 333, even though it meant compromising the quality. At 500 it was pretty good actually, but I did it at 333 because I obviously didn't want to go into the guard band at all, because that would be absolutely against the rules. But no, they not impressed with the video from that point of view. Sorry. I think I was doing better with the way I did it, to be honest, except that the pictures weren't as sharp. Windows 11. Well, I don't use Windows. I gave up last Windows I used was XP, and that was okay. I wasn't doing television then. In fact, I wasn't even doing amateur radio then. I got my license in 1979 actually, but I had many years not doing it, but I was making videos and things like that. And the problem with Windows XP is I was having all kinds of problems, and at that point I gave up and went Macintosh, and I haven't looked back, and I would never ever go back to Windows ever, because I did look at Windows 10 more recently, and it's terrible, absolutely terrible. I can't understand why anybody would want it. If I get fed up with Macintosh, and believe me, whilst it's a million times better than Windows, I still don't like the direction that Apple are going in, because they're obsessed with phones, and I think we're going to have the same problem with Raspberry Pis, which is Linux. I downloaded. Well, I use. Well, I'll show you on my little camera. You know, I use these things. This is my receiver. Just zoom out a bit. That's the receiver I use. So it's a Raspberry Pi with a LCD screen. The cable's not quite long enough, and the sun's on it there. That's my receiver, and over here, somewhere over here, that's the transmitter. Both Raspberry Pis, and they not even the Raspberry Pi organisation can get it right. For example, I'm being pestered by a fly. On the desktop, if you open the file browser, whatever it's called, file manager, on a touch screen, the Raspberry Pi official touch screen, you can't see the top band, you can't see the bottom, so you can't resize it down to fit on the screen, and therefore you can't get to the close box to close it. So if you open the file browser on a Raspberry Pi, official Raspberry Pi LCD screen, you can't close it, and the only way out is reboot the thing. I mean, this is pathetic, absolutely pathetic. So they're not paying attention to even the hardware they sell. And I bought a Pi 5. I haven't done much with that. I downloaded the latest Bookworm software onto it, and I also tried it on a Pi 4. And I don't know why they've even released it, because it's so bad at the moment. They should never have released it. I can't get any of my existing software, not even the simplest things that use graphics, to work. It probably works if you're just one of these people that buys, you know, a Raspberry Pi 400, you know, which is their top selling thing, and all you want to do is word processing and browse the internet on a big external HDMI monitor. Great. But what about the other people? I mean, the Pi is originally for schools, for experimenting with. But it's turning into a commodity product. So I don't know where we go. You know, Windows is a load of rubbish. Macs aren't that much better from that respect if you want to experiment. And Pi's, same problem. So probably the only way is a desktop Linux machine with Ubuntu on it or something like that. And if I buy another Mac, because this one I've got is getting old, if I buy another desktop Mac, I might put the one I've got now, you know, reload that with Unix or something, I don't know. The other thing I could just mention, wall warts. I hate them. I wish people wouldn't make stuff. It's a cheap way of producing stuff. It's horrible, but they do it. So they're an absolute nuisance. They take up too much space. They come in different sizes, so you can't always get a number of them in one strip. You have to miss spaces out to fit them on. So you finish up with spaghetti everywhere. This is a real rant, isn't it? What else did I mention? Loudness units are not aimed at compressed commercials. Well, they are. They're aimed at taming perceived loudness across all program materials. But the real thing is to stop people trying to peak up to maximum peak level on a peak reading meter. The idea is to bring it down so you do not need to compress it, but you're guaranteed that the volume will be correct. So in other words, the compressed material gets dragged down to match uncompressed material. And therefore, people that are trying to produce decent sound have the dynamic range to have transients that go up. Otherwise, if everybody goes to the top, there's no room for transients to go up. So everything's flat and boring. It's called the loudness war. It's been going on for years. And the hope is that companies that produce the soundtracks for TV commercials will waken up to this and stop using compression and start making more interesting and more dynamic soundtracks that are more pleasing to the ear instead of just trying to make them loud. And they're still doing it. They're still doing it. They found that apparently the drugs companies are the worst, the pharmaceuticals. Apparently, I read this. I haven't actually seen it for myself, mainly because I don't watch ITV. But at the end of a pharmaceutical product commercial, there's always this disclaimer at the end, you know. So what they do is they have the loud commercial, and then when they get towards the end, they get rid of the sound almost completely, so that the last 5 or 6 seconds of the commercial is very quiet. This brings the overall measured LUF measure down. In other words, it makes the bulk of the commercial louder than it really should be to compensate for the quiet bit at the end. Clever, isn't it? But I believe that they're trying to work around this and stop it. The hope is that we can start having high fidelity sound and everything. That's the whole point of it. The center zero idea, I agree with you. If you turn the mic off, it will still say you're sending the right level. This is absolutely true. The difference is, though, with a sample window of 3 seconds, it takes quite a while to register. So you don't get an instant reading because it's going to measure over a longer period. So I haven't tested this. It's something I want to experiment. I am aware of what you're saying, and I do agree with you. But having the meter start on one side and come up, if it takes too long to come up, will it take too long to come up rather than just deviate? And this is something to be experimented with, which I haven't done yet. As I say, I'm in very early days on this. Don't hold your breath. This could be a very long project for me. There's so many things to solve, and it's one of these things that I have to solve everything before I can actually build it, because it's too complicated to put on a breadboard. I'll be going straight to a PCB, and it has to work first time. And that's the way I did it 13 years ago. If only I could remember what I did, which I can't. So that's it. Bit of a rant, sorry about that. But keep away from bookworm if you're thinking about it. Give it a while. Maybe they'll get their act together eventually. And stop using Windows. And I hate Walwarts. So we're handing over now, I believe. Dear, where are we? I can't remember if Phil's dropped out or not. I'm going to hand it over to Phil. And if he's not there, I'm sure Peter will pick it up. But I think it's Phil next. So from EA7KR, in sunny Spain, and it is sunny today. Over to you, Phil. M0PIT.
Hi guys, I wasn't planning to come back, but I just have a quick one. A couple of things. Leon, yes, it was me about ceramic capacitors, and yeah, 1 microfarad. Sorry, yeah, it was 1 microfarad, 25 volts on top of a matchstick. I mean, wow. Going back to when I started, you know, 1 microfarad capacitor, bloody huge. But it's amazing what they do now, absolutely amazing. But yeah, I was quite surprised that they could get ceramic. Never really looked at it before, never really realised it before until I started playing around with a plastic receiver, and then it's sort of, wow, you know, that was quite something. But yeah, it's amazing what they can do now. Who knows where it's going to go? We'll have stuff you won't be able to see soon. As everybody's talking about Windows 11, you guys know I don't run Windows. I've got two machines here in front of me. One's TX, the other's Receive. They're running Ubuntu 2204, and it works. I mean, I've got virtually the same type of screens as what you guys have got. I'm running OBS. My OBS screen is the same as yours. You know, I've got a browser which is Firefox. It's not Windows, it's Linux, and doesn't cost anything, and it works. And the other thing you can do with Linux is you've got total control over it if you want to. And if you've got windows that are opening up and they're too big or whatever, you can control that. I'm not saying that I'm an expert how to do it, but I know you can control it. But yeah, as you know, guys know, I'm always harping on about the benefits of Linux. But yeah, and just to finish off, Michael, PPMs. I mean, I like PPMs. It was how I was brought up with PPMs, and that's what I shall go down. And but you're talking about mechanical meters, etc. You're quite right with a mechanical meter. The needle's going to take time. You know, it's going to take time to get to the right-hand side, if that's where it's travelling to. And of course, you've got various things that's going to delay that, and one of them is, of course, air, because it's got to push against air, it's got to push it out of the way. And then you've got all the friction and everything else in the bearings and God knows what else. So you will always have that type of delay in a meter. But if you go electronic, like you've done with the PPM, that's quite interesting, because the time that it would take for the needle to get from A to B is probably down to the speed of the calculations and the, well, yeah, it's the speed of the processor and all the calculations that's got to do. But I mean, I would have thought that it is a damn sight faster than any mechanical meter. I mean, I love analog meters, especially PPM meters, and I think you've seen that I've got a couple of old ones that I can't actually get going. But I am now quite happy with the meter that Michael's come up with. I quite like it, and it suits me down to the ground. If anything, I would like the screen to be slightly bigger, but that's, you know, that's minor problems. But I'm quite happy with that. It's to me, it looks like if I was shown that, what is that? I would have instantly said that's a ppm meter, because that's what it looks like to me, especially if I saw it moving. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have two of them, because this desk here is a 2-channel, not right and left. It's actually got 2 separate channels that come out, and I'm going to have 2 ppms eventually on there. But yeah, that's me going on about ppms. Right, that's enough of me. I'm going to hand it over now. I think it's to Peter, but if Peter's not there, Sorrow would take it on. So I'm going to put up a test guard, and just to say thanks everyone, enjoy the net, thanks very much, and as I said before, thanks Gary for hosting it and do a grand job. So I'm going to put up a test guard. There's my test guard, and I'm going to kill
Okay, DW7Bs and Y. Hopefully, everybody sees me. I don't know. Okay, a bit still getting going there because I had to turn to YouTube to watch that. What's his name? Mike? No, Phil. Sorry, Phil. I'm frozen on my screen. I don't know if I'm frozen on everybody's screen. I don't know. I might be. I might not be. Let's have a look. You see, that's what I'm waiting for, to see whether or not it's catch up. I'll take it that I'm not frozen and just crack on anyway. Yeah, excellent stuff, everybody. Brilliant stuff. I like that meter, Mike. I think that was. Am I frozen? I am, aren't I? I am. Ah. Okay. There we go. For some reason, the capture device crashed. Sorry about that. I thought I was trundling on, and let's just check I've got some audio. Yeah, okay, audio situation, Leon, was the fact that I've gone portable with the camera yesterday, I think it was, sometime after, and I'd unplugged the, or before, I spoke to you last time, I'd unplugged the, well, I plugged the camera, the microphone, front microphone here, the back microphone should I say, here, but the camera was running from its front microphones. So that's why I was a bit distant. I don't know if they were on auto gain or whether they would turn down. I don't know. Anyway, that's that. PPM, Luff, good stuff, mate. I'm just looking at that. I think that's got to be a goer. I for one will be building anything that you produce on that. If I can get a board, then that is. I mean, if you supply board, that would be fantastic. But I'd like a request. I want the green to be in the middle, and then just above it, 11. Has to go to 11 because I want it to go to 11, and that will make me happy. I mean, I've got all these compressors behind me here, Mike. A fair selection of audio processors. Some of them 10 band. One of them is a 10 band. They're not very high quality, but they do all right. One's 90 something sample rate and 24 bit. So good enough in the digital domain and analog, but I can't feed them into the camera. The old card on the old computer actually could do the professional TOS link on the XLR, but obviously the new computer can't. and I'm sort of quite happy with Windows, really. I've tried Linux and not really enjoyed the experience. Pi is a great machine. Mostly it just collects dust. There is a screen for that somewhere. I've got a screen. But I put it on RIDE and thinking that somehow that I was going to use the screen to control it. But of course RIDE doesn't have any. So I've got a touch screen somewhere. Lost now, probably. Lost. So I'm not all that keen on Raspberry Pi either. I found it crashy. I mean, I used everything else manually, you know what I mean? I switched my antennas manually. I mean, I put my finger on the amplifier. I'm old school with all that. I don't see the necessity of having digital sensors and things, unless it's remote, and of course that's a different matter. That's about it, really. QPSK, HPSK. Well, I've used QPSK and experimented like everybody has. Only thing is that you do have to push out a lot more power, because it has to have a larger CM threshold, doesn't it? At least they say to 16 dB or something. So you've got to put a whack of a signal out for it to make it work. I think that's really the problem with it, and why it really doesn't work for us. I mean, not for me anyway. Those with really large and good quality large dishes and excessive signal probably have a lot more fun with it than I will. There we are, hair sticking out of my microphone. Yeah, the aperture. Yeah, and I've seen that sitting on my camera, Leon, and I have no idea what it was, but you have given me some idea. I have turned the sharpening up quite a bit, the crispening, and there is a setting there for aperture. So I don't know what it does, but I have some idea now. There's quite a lot of apertures on the setting menu. And not a lot of information on what to do with them from GW. So I hand that round now. Say good afternoon to everybody. Thanks for having me in. It's been really good. Thanks to everyone, and to Gary especially there. As for internet linking, I do internet link with MW0 LLK on a Tuesday night via the NDI, vMix to NDI, and link to his station, and he sends me out on that, either as a two squares on the screen, picture-in-picture situation, or just full screen. But I think you have to be here, at least in Britain. You have to be piggyback on someone's studio. You can't do it remotely, I don't think. I know some places do, but I don't think here. You have to be, as I say, brought in as a guest. Is the word I'm looking for. vMix does have a guest system. If you have the full Monty, or the one above mine, you can have at least one guest, I think, which doesn't require NDI. That's actually just brought in. But anyway, that's another matter. So yeah, I think it's a quite cracking idea, but I think it would, for safety, it wouldn't be a unsupervised system, and just brought in like another camera input onto a mixing desk, with the person with the license would be the one in control, because if anything was transmitted improper, then they would take the fall. So that would encourage certain
Oops. We lost. So we lost Peter, and I lost my own image. Peter, you're in the middle of your talk. You were out. Do I have a face cam? Yes, I have. So we lost your image suddenly, Peter, completely unexpected. I hope you covered most of it you wanted to say. Obviously, if we do a internet entrance of this net, it would be only this net, and it would be only under guidance of the involved ham, maybe even the net control, but that's discussed on what possibilities there are. And it's obviously only for ham around the world. And the things how my experience is that well, first if I want to get on a net somewhere on an electronic entrance, I need to show that I'm a ham radio even. But I know in England, if they use it, if they use, am I over Peter? Well, I don't think so at the moment anymore. At least he should be able to see that I'm on now. I'm a little bit high on the power, but that was for our Austrian guest. Okay, going a little bit down. The idea is only for ham, obviously, and only under guidance. And the way they do it in England is that you have to apply for a key, and which is a entrance key to get on the net. And obviously the guy who hands out that key should prove or should know that he hands it over to a ham. And that works perfectly. Actually, I'm using that key also for the local repeater now. And so it's kind of protected. It's not open entrance. And obviously you should, it's only for the net idea to make this a worldwide net, a decent worldwide net, as we don't have the possibilities otherwise to invite the people outside the footprint or on holiday or on whatever on a different way than getting the decent big dish outside in the footprint. Okay, well, it's another thought. It's just an idea, and I hope if Gary has a good contact with AMSA DL, he might get an exception of doing just this, because we need to organize it first, and there are many possibilities to organize the rest, Gary. But if you want to know more about that, we do an IBEL QSO on the WhatsApp or whatever, because obviously these things need to be guided carefully, because we don't want the neighbor getting onto our system without license, unlicensed hams, unlicensed people on this bird. Okay, well, I have just one question about the whole PPM, PPI, whatever, audio bit, and that is for a lot of people like myself. I'm using a analog microphone, but I'm immediately going into my PC with this analog microphone onto my OBS, and at that point it's digital, and OBS showing me a nice meter and showing me that I'm producing somewhere in the red, in the yellow, meaning I have quite a bit of audio. I can overdo it if I go close, and even if I talk very loud, it's not even producing much in the red. If I'm going too slowly or too far away, then I'm back in the green, and it's, well, it tells me exactly what I'm doing. And I wonder, me using this kind of system, which is built in OBS anyway, after that a lot of signal is not coming back on analog anymore. It's digital all the way. So I have no clue how I can check if the signal is okay. I can check obviously out of the loudspeaker coming out of my PCs if the signal is too loud. I can hear if it's distorted. That's more interesting. I would like maybe some kind of sine wave display, meaning I want to be able to test and check the signal just for if it's distorted or anything else, anything like that. But I wonder what I would be able to do with one of those meters, because it's never analog. Well, it's analog leaving the microphone, but at that moment it's already digital going into the PC directly, and all the processing is done in OBS and maybe a little bit in the PC. And I just can monitor quickly on the OBS if my signal is okay. Well, after that, it is completely out of my hand. It goes into DATV Easy. It does something probably with it, and after that, it should be on your loudspeaker, Michael. Well, it's at least a nice project. I was thinking about it, and I already had one of these, which is a Arduino Nano in my hand. Thinking about using two analog inputs and then some LEDs on the output, showing what kind of signals coming in, and well, was already. But then I said, where do I connect it? it's for transmission. It's not easy, and for receiving, well, that's again depending on what I'm doing on my setting of my loudspeakers, which are different all the way every time I'm switching on, because most of it is done through the PC and you have so many controls before it comes into the loudspeaker. Well, that's another thought. Then one thing, Nick, I'm working with Windows 11, and if I can show you this is the screen capture of one of my screens, which has currently the DATV list on it. If I pull it down, it's nice small. I can make it a little bit bigger. I can make it obviously a little bit bigger. I can put another screen in there. I can make it a little bit bigger. I can do whatever I want with it, and yes, it's doing something there. This is probably what you mean, but as long as I don't go into that threshold, I can do whatever I want with it. And I don't see your problem, basically, Nick. I'm using Windows 11 already for more than a year now, and it works flawlessly with myself. Well, that's all for now. I pass it on to, and I had the net just. Let's throw away this. I'm passing it on to not Paul, because he wants to have another try next week. We had a small discussion about the transverter. Yes, there was another thing I was thinking about this transverter. I haven't tried the PTT out yet. I will do shortly, because that's another thing I will try, and I'm in the middle of processing this, which will also control a lot of power to all the devices, because I want the devices being switched on and off when I'm using it or not using it in my transceiver. So being able to test the PTT also here. But I was wondering if you had talked about or thought about the output, because it has a nice combined TX RX input output, one plug, one coax plug only, But obviously when we need to amplify this signal, and we want to do filtering with it, and but first we need to take it apart again. And I wonder if it's not inside the box, if we cannot divide it in there and get, like the Pluto, to one separate TX and one separate RX out, and then use the two completely independently from each other, or at least use it without being combined, so you you don't need to filter or amplify, well, switch extra to get the two lines apart from each other. By the way, filtering would be an idea, because I already, as I told you online, I already have this board on order. Actually, I ordered 4 of them, because a few of the hams local will also want to use it. So we have a lot of experience with that. We are using the same board, and I actually saw the same linear amplifier on your desk, which does, in my case, if you put enough power in, it does flat 4 watts, which was quite astonishing. It was doing quite a bit on 10 dB more on 40 meters. It has a nice, yeah, it's doing quite nicely. So I actually have the same, and I probably will use that one for a few tries in there. Okay, well, that's all for now. Passing it on to, let's see, my friend Ed, Papa Yankee 2 Radio November. And I see also Martin come on. So I'm not sure if he wants an over after Leon. Papa Yankee 2 Radio November. Passing it on to you. Do I have a test card? Yes, I have. And greetings to you all, and maybe seeing each other next week.
I forgot to start the camera. Okay. Thanks, Benno. Yeah, that's the external view. 30 degrees outside. At least it's windy today, so it's not so uncomfortable. I would never thought that under 30 degrees I would feel comfortable, but considering the last days, yes, quite comfortable. Beno, I think, yeah, I understand about the TXRX stuff. Yeah, there is no way. I'm gonna work with the relays, TXRX relay. So since we have just one output input on the output of the transverter, so I'm gonna work with the TXRX relays. I have a few of them here. Small relays because we're talking about low power, so not very difficult. But QSL, you ordered several filter boards. Yeah, looks good, those filter boards. I doubt if it will support 10 watts. I don't think so, but that's what they said. Not sure. Anyways, regarding what Miguel said, Miguel Echo Alpha 7 Kilo India Radio. Yeah, I do agree with the Windows. It's not trustable. It's expensive. It's not stable, but that's still the best option for testing and learning amateur radio applications and stuff. Speaking of, you know, Raspberry Pi, you mentioned that it's for learning educational purposes. Yeah, I do agree. but it does a good job, and as well as this guy here. This was made only for educational learning purposes, and everybody's using. So I think for the objective, it does meet the requirement. So that's okay. Speaking of learning, some updates about the FPGA development. The challenge to make an option to receive DATV. We are still working on that. Head of the project is Papa Uniforme to Romeo Quebec Victor Rocky. He has those development FPGA boards. The intention is to develop the using MATLAB, and as soon as we can develop the TX and also the RX, mainly the RX, we are interested. We can compile that from MATLAB and compile on VHDL and use maybe a cheaper board, because this board you're seeing there is quite expensive, around $2,000 I think. But there are other options. If I can find here, yeah, like this one. This one is quite accessible. I mean, regarding price, not so expensive. The other thing is a MATLAB license, because we required several modules from MATLAB. It becomes very expensive, the license, if you're gonna buy it. So actually, what we are doing is some type of collaboration with a university when they do have the full package from MATLAB, and they are glad to participate on this project. So we're gonna be able to get their licenses for MATLAB for developing to keep developing the code for the FPGAs. So that was a good solution found by Rocky. Actually, his son is already in the university working with that. So he just talked to the dean of that university, and they agreed, and they got very interested. So more students could participate on development of DVB-S2 transmission and reception using MATLAB and FPGAs. So it's quite a good start, and we are glad that universities and some students. We also have a group of amateur radio operators here in Brazil that they are developers as well, and they are participating also on the project. And the next step for us is gonna to make a lab, so those guys interested in helping can access remotely. And work on the development of the code for the FPGA. As soon as the code is developed and tested, it can be compiled on VHDL, and we can use a simple or a cheaper FPGA board like this one I'm showing you. So that's it. If someone else is interested also in participate outside of Brazil, gonna be welcome. Just drop a note for us. Gonna be glad to get you on board. All right, guys. I think that's it. Thank you very much. Great net as well, Luis. 73. Hope to see you all next weekend. This is Papa Yankee 2 Romeo November. Oh, I see Golf 8 QO on the list now, so maybe Nick can play the movie from Philippines. What about that, Nick? So back to you. Go for IMO PY2RN.
Yeah, okay, Ed, I'm just trying to get my power level right. Hang on. Yeah, okay, Ed, I'm just trying to get my power level right. And turn down the volume as well. Yeah, okay, thanks for that. Yeah, right, let me just quickly go down the list because it's getting a bit late here. I'm getting hungry. Gary, well, when you sent the video, I'm watching on my ride receiver and on a 24-inch screen. And I was watching the water and it was very smooth. It was very good. I didn't see any problems with the frame that Michael was talking about. So I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, it looked okay to me. So there you go. Leon, yes, those little tiny capacitors on the end of a match there. The last surface mount PCB I made was a 24 SEMS transmitter, and that used 1206 size capacitors, but they looked an awful lot smaller. I still have a steady hand, but my eyesight isn't very good, so I think I'd have a lot of trouble with those, I think. Anyway, right, I'll just quickly show you what my problem is with this Windows thing. Hang on a minute. If I can get this to go. Right, go to my eagle eye. If it's going to work. Right, that is my screen that is open. I've got 4 windows on there. This window here, for example, on the left-hand side, at the top right-hand corner, you've got the cross to close the window. You've got the maximize one and you've got the minimize one. Well, on the old Windows 10, when you clicked on the maximize one a second time, it allowed you to resize the window, and then you could then move it to put it where you want. But now with Windows 11, when you just hover the mouse over that, those are the options. Can you see that they're the options? So you have to have one of those options. That's the problem, and they're not the options that I want because I've already opened up Windows already in those positions, and I want to put it where I want to put it. So that's the problem I have. So if you click on any one of those, it opens up another window, but it's in the wrong place and it's the wrong size anyway. So anyway, that's the problem with the Windows thing. Let me go back to my camera if I can find it, which is on there. Right. Maybe I need to invest in another computer screen or something. Anyway, okay. I'll show you these 2 little videos here. When we were out in the Philippines, we have a house out there, and with somebody looking after it while we're not there, and they have a cat, and the cat's name is Star, and the majority of cats that I've known, if you start doing the hoovering, you put a vacuum cleaner on, they hate the noise, and they sort of run off and hide underneath the sofa, but not with this cat. It likes being hoovered. So yeah, that is Star. Because it's very hot out there, it's constantly molting all its fur. So, but yeah, it's quite happy to be hoovered with the vacuum cleaner. So anyway, I thought I'd show you that. There's another little one on here which I'll show in a minute when this is finished. Oh, that's a rechargeable vacuum cleaner that is running out of electrons. By the way, you can hear the motor getting slower and slower. Anyway, I'll just show you that this other one here. The problem with the cat is the floor and the furniture. It tends to it likes to hang on, show the other one. It likes to sharpen its claws. So we came up with the idea of small little woolen socks to put on its paws, so that it could walk around without scratching the floor and scratching all the furniture. But it wasn't successful because at the end of the day, it had a lot of trouble in walking. But it looked very smart with its little woolen socks on anyway. So but you'll see it wasn't happy. It was not a happy cat. Anyway, so yeah, so that wasn't successful. So we had to take the little woolen socks off, so that Star was happy again. So, but anyway, as I say, I thought I'd wait so that Martin was here because he could see the video. Okay, anyway, it's getting quite late here, so I think I'm going to shoot off and go and have some lunch. So I'll say cheerio to everybody, and I think that's probably enough. Go back to my camera. Yeah, I'll say cheerio to everybody, and I will see you all next time. So I'll part it round to Leon, because he's next on the list. If he's not there, perhaps you pick it up, Martin. But I will be watching for about another maybe 5-10 minutes, something like that. Round to you, Leon. ZS1 Mike G4IMO.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Perfect copy there. G4IMO and the group ZS1 Mike. Yes, cats don't like anything on their feet. You can just put small pieces of sticky tape under their feet, and they do the same. You know, they they don't have the contact that they used to. Anyway, very good. I'm amazed that it doesn't mind the vacuum cleaner. That's quite something. Michael, you definitely have a receiver problem there, because I received Gary's video perfectly, and now Nick confirmed. I thought it was the Raspberry Pi, but he said he was using a Ride, so it's Raspberry Pi. You don't need a very fancy computer for reception. Let me just show you properties. The computer, I use an old PC for my receiver. Processor Intel Core 2 Quad CPU, whatever, 2.4 gig. Installed memory 8 gig, 64-bit. That's what I'm using for reception. And I think it's XP, Windows XP, or is it Windows 7? I can't remember. But that's not important. But perfect copy. I never have receiving problems, and I use mini tuner, standard mini tuner with scan and tune. I find scan and tune reads anything. I never have problems receiving things. So you have a problem with that receiver of yours. It's not performing like it should. Because Nick also uses a Ride, and he received it fine. So yeah. Right, now I must just open up my receiver again. There I can see myself. Okay. Yeah, the PPM business, yeah, there's a lot to be said about that. I also run a small professional recording studio. I record bands and things. Well, used to, not so much nowadays, but anyway. And I've always had very favorable feedback. People like my recordings. It's crisp, clear, and they can hear every instrument clearly with excellent dynamic range. So I always tell them when I play, I give them a CD and they say, oh, that sounded fantastic, you know. I say, yeah, I know the recording engineer. I don't use compression. I use zero compression. Yeah, you're talking about that, about the commercials, Michael. In the commercials, they even up the subcarrier, the chroma for the commercials. Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. Anyway, you need some form of thing. The response of a needle. Some of my equipment uses bar graphs and things, which obviously is much faster, but you can't see the freaking things because they're too fast. So on like my Revox recorder, which is still a reel-to-reel recorder, I don't really use it anymore, but there you have the needle, 2 needles, and you have, for very rapid things that perhaps the needle missed, you have a LED which says you've reached the peak, and you can set that peak level where you want it. Even these software PPMs that you can download, they also have a little red thing that comes up, and you can set the level for the red thing, as you can calibrate the whole thing in software. But yeah, so as I say, as long as you have something. Now, yeah, Benno, you have a problem with all digital. I don't like those things. It's, as far as I'm concerned, it's unprofessional. You have to have hands-on, and you have to be able to tap into your audio line all the way until your final digitizing, which should be the audio card of the PC, not the camera, Peter. But yeah, at least you sound much better now, I must say. Okay, listen, it's now more than 2.5 hours that we've been going, so I'm going to say cheers, and I'll give it to Martin. Martin, over to you. G8KOE for the group from ZS1MM, saying cheerio, 73s, I'll be listening, and I'll only come back if there's a specific request. Take it, Martin.
Right, I think I made it. Sorry I'm a bit late on parade, but I watched the rerun of the F1 Grand Prix. Right, I think Nick was going to disappear. I'm not quite sure what problem he's having with the screens, but it's easy enough in Windows 11. You know, you just scroll it down, move it up, position where you like, scroll it out. You know, it isn't a problem, I don't think. But maybe I'm missing something. But just thought we'd stick that one up and go where it likes. Right. Yeah, it seems to have been a big, good net. I missed everything. Yeah, question I have, I think Owen's lurking there. If not, probably Gary can answer the question. With his new software, which I've been looking at, I actually found his YouTube side of things, which made things a lot clearer. So I may get tempted to have a go. But when you hit the PTT as such, what does it actually do? Does it just throw a relay? Is it delayed so you don't get the spike? You know, how does it actually work? So at the moment, I use DATV Easy, which has the start, which runs the program, so the program's running, and then a PTT button that I control a relay that's in the garage. So if I did go that route, plus I'd have to do something to read the current and the temperatures and such like out there. And PPM wise, I must admit I use the software program. I use PTT on the Pluto. So, yeah, so if you're just using the PTT on the Pluto, you press TX, yeah. So, and it closes, yeah. So do you not get the calibration spike coming up and causing any nasties if you do it that way? I wonder. Nothing changes. Yeah, very good video anyway. It made things a lot clearer for me. I was struggling up to that point. If you're not using the Spectrum SDR console, yes I am. I use SDR console. So that normally that's problematic. Okay. I wondered whether it was, because that was the other thing I was going to say is, how do you get the pass-through mode on all that? Yeah, that's interesting. I might have to have a think about that. Anyway, I thought there was a calibration spike also on the Pluto, but maybe I'm wrong. I know it used to be horrendous on the Lime. And could you please add USB relay control to your software? Oh, and can you also read lots of temperatures and that, and do a little no, I've set up with DATV Easy that it reads. I've got the little unit in the garage, and that reads all the temperatures and current, etc. So I need to learn how to I can't take all this feedback, it's too much. Mine does the continuous with, yes, okay. Anyway, looks like good net. I won't hold everybody up because I'm late on parade. And is Gary's sound in sync? That's what I needed to ask. So I'll throw it over to you there, Gary, and hope I haven't jinxed everything now. From G8KOE.
Yeah, G8KOE ZE6YI. I was wondering where you were. Anyway, yeah, my sync's excellent. Watch this. See how out it is. Anyway, guys, I'm going to close the net. I've got to run. It's been a long net from 3 o'clock South African time to 5:45. So I'm going to close the net. Hi to Uwan, and I also want to say hi to all the guys on YouTube. There's a lot of chaps. There's Paul OE 8PCK, Gunter, he's on, and then Peter Rudolph. Hi, Peter. That's DK3 Zulu Fox. And then we have, of course, Adam, SP9ACQ, and G6HFS, just watching today. And then Nigel came back on YouTube. So all good. And the YouTube's worked out quite okay today. So all good. Once again, thanks to all for being on. I'm going to throw the ball in the air. Oh, incidentally, Michael, I disagree. Not that it's my signal, but I was watching it as it was playing, the video, and it was absolutely perfect. And I was quite happy with that, because normally on 333, the most difficult thing you want to transmit is waterfalls or waves or something like that, because it takes a lot of bandwidth, and you can very quickly get tiling on the signal, and you're not getting it with this new Libex. So it's definitely far better on the narrow bandwidth or narrow symbol rates than my very expensive NVIDIA card. We've tested that, Leon and I, and so has Owen. We've tested that ad nauseum, and it's a major improvement. On the higher symbols, like 1 mega symbols, you don't really notice anything. But it's on this little one where Libex comes into its own. Martin, just quickly, issue I have, I can't use my Pluto now on narrowband. It does pass through, but I've got an issue because we've flashed the Pluto to work on the latest software from Everest. And of course, now at the moment, it does not work on SDR console, which is a bit of a problem, even if I disconnect the television side. So I'm sure Everest will sort that out. And then we can be back using one unit for both narrowband and wideband. With that, I'll say 7-3 to all. Have a lovely week ahead. And hopefully we'll all be together next Sunday. This is ZS6YI throwing the ball in the air. I think, Michael, you the next if you want to take it from ZS6 Yankee India, QO-100. The next if you want to take